Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the next update for my whole collection project pan. I know it hasn't quite been a month since I uploaded this or the last update, but I do want to try to get on track with lots of other people doing this project, and they're uploading on the 5th every month, so that's going to be my aim. And I'm thinking next month I'm going to try to upload on the 5th, so again next month is going to be a bit less than a month's progress, but yeah, I just want to get kind of on track with everyone else. So that is my plan, and that is also why I'm updating this project a bit early. But without any further rambling, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in family. But let's just get into the video. So people are doing this project a bit differently. I'm used to doing it by randomizing 10 items to work on, and I choose my goals when I pick the item. Usually I try to get like a kind of like a higher usage goal. I want to be a bit more challenging in this project, so I can actually rotate through a lot of the products in my collection that I don't reach for otherwise. I know also some people are doing it half with half 10 uses, half long-term items, and then you can choose depending on what you roll out. But yeah, I choose my uses or goals when I roll items in, and all of mine are more kind of long-term products, or like at least 30-50 uses most of the time. I do have eyeshadows in this project as well. I'm gonna add in a rule regarding eyeshadows this month though, because I found an issue, and I'm going to discuss that later when I go through the eyeshadows that I have in this project. But with the eyeshadows I want to use them 15 times or hit pan on them. So that's kind of my general rules. But yeah, let's just get into the first items, and we actually have eyeshadows to start with, so let's start with those. So the first item that I have is an eyeshadow from NYX. This is the potted eyeshadow from the In Your Element Air palette, and I have repressed this into like a circle pan. Last time it looked like this, and I had last time used it 6 times, so I had 9 more uses to go to hit my 15 usage goal, and I'm happy to report that I have actually used this 15 times now. You can see there's a little bit of a dip showing, but not too much. It's actually been quite nice reaching for this because there was a bit of a hard pan on top of this eyeshadow before, so it didn't really pick up very much and it wasn't very crumbly, but I feel like since then I've definitely gone through that and it's been going a little bit faster. It's not crumbly or anything now, but I'm just past that hard pan, which is really nice. And like I said, that is what it looks like, so it's a little bit of a dip, but I did hit my 15 usage goal on this, so it will be rolling out. So now let's discuss the other 2 eyeshadows that I had in this project. Both of them are in like palettes, and it's these 2 right here. We have my Untitled Chapter Gold palette. I'm working on the shade Dijon, and then we also have my Golden Coconuts palette, and I'm working on the shade Shell. Yeah, so with these 2 I'm not really going to put up any pictures because I've only used each of these 2 once in the past month, so no real need to put up a progress picture because there's not going to be much of a difference. But I have actually decided to roll these 2 out. I've only used these 4 times in total. I've used both of these 3 times last month, and then 1 time like I said this month, so 4 uses each. So I'm nowhere near those 15 uses, but what I've realized is that I want to add in the same rule that I have in my Panda's eyeshadows, and that is if I roll something that is too similar to my Panda palette, I will re-roll, because I've just not been able to reach for these. I have to force myself to reach for these eyeshadows because they're just so similar to what I have in my Panda palette, so that if I want like these kind of more neutral browns, the shade I'm working on is Dijon here, which I mean it is a slightly different tone than some of the shadows in my Panda palettes. It's similar to like Golden Ochre, but this one is deeper. But if I reach for like browns, I want to reach for my Panda palette rather than this one, so that's why I want to roll this one out. So if I do roll something that is similar to my Panda palette, I will go ahead and re-roll, but other than that, anything else goes when it comes to eyeshadows. So yeah, I'm adding that rule in, and like I said, these 2 will be rolling out. Golden Coconuts, I'm working on this shade Shell, yeah, and again, it's like a brown. It's more of a kind of reddish tone, but again, it's more of a neutral brown. But yeah, I'm rolling both of these out. So now with the eyeshadows out of the way, let's move on to the next product category, which are blushes. And I actually have 3 blushes to talk about as well. The first one I have is my Natasha Denona Bloom blush. This is one that I've had in now for 2 months, and the first month I had used this 14 times, and this is what it looked like. And with this, my goal is to use it 30 times, and this is what it looks like today. I don't think you're gonna see much of a difference because yeah, you don't need very much blush, especially this one, because it's quite pigmented, in a nice way though. I'm actually wearing this today, and today is the 16th time that I'm wearing it this month, so I have now reached for it 30 times, and this one will be rolling out. This has been my main focus, and yeah, I wanted to just focus on getting one of the blushes out because yeah, I had 3 blushes in this project, and I also have 2 blushes in my rolling product pan, so I'm very blush heavy currently, so I wanted to get one of them out, and this one was the one that I was closest on, and also it's been going really well with the kind of peachy tones that I've been wearing recently. So this one is now rolling out, and I'm happy to have gotten some use out of it because it is, I think it is my newest blush actually in my collection, so it was fun playing around with it. The next blush I'm gonna breeze over, and again, no really need to put up progress picture. I'm gonna put up the picture of where it was last month, but I haven't actually used it in the past month because I've been so focused on the Bloom blush. And this one is very similar. This is Orgasm by NARS, and it also has like that golden shift to it, but this one has more of a pink base. But since I was focusing on Bloom, this one just got a bit neglected, and that's completely fine. And again, it has been a little bit less than a month since my last update, so yeah, not to worry, but this one is probably going to be under focus for next month because I have 11 uses on it so far and have 19 to go. The last blush that I have is one that I rolled in last month, and that is my Dior blush in the shade Rosy Glow. This one I put in a goal of using 20 times because I knew that I was working on so many blushes. I wanted to put slightly lower goal on this, and last month I was worried because this was looking very light. It's still looking light, but you can see that since I've been using it, it's been kind of like getting back to its normal color there in the center. And I have been using this one 4 times in the past month, and I think the reason why it went like light like this, don't mind the part down here, I tried to repress something that broke. Luckily I didn't try to repress the whole thing because you can see it kind of changed the whole color of the powder. So yeah, this one is one that you probably can't repress with alcohol, but anyway, if you see it in this corner here, you can see that it is lighter, and I think honestly it might just have been bleached by the sun, because before I had my blushes in a container that was see-through, like an acrylic container, and since this one is a bit of a see-through packaging, half of it as well, I think it just got bleached by the sun because it's now back to its normal form. But because of that, I'm happy to continue working on it, and I have 60 more uses to go, so I don't think I'm going to be able to roll this out by next month because I do have, like I said, a lot of blushes that I'm working on, and I'm probably going to focus more on that NARS blush because it has been in the project for a longer time. But yeah, this one I will definitely try to use a bit more in the next month. The next product I have is a highlighter, and this is my Laura Mercier Highlight 01. This is the Matte Radiant Baked Powder. I rolled this in with using it 30 times as the goal, and as of the last update I have used this 12 times, and it's now been in for 2 months, and I've reached for it an additional 3 times in the past month. So not too great, but I have used it a little bit. I'm now on 15 uses, so I'm halfway to my goal. Again, I'm probably going to try to hit my goal on this by next month because I think I can do that. I am panning a different highlighter in my year-long project pan though, which is the one I'm wearing today. I do prefer that highlighter, I think, and also I was neglecting that tons in my previous update, so like the month before when I uploaded that product last basically. So I've been really focusing on that to try to get some use out of it because yeah, I was neglecting it in the first month it was in that project. But this one is definitely one I'm going to focus on because I think that I can hit my goal on this by next month. Okay, we have 3 products to go. The next one is my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I rolled this in 2 months ago as well. And my goal with this is to use it 50 times because I wasn't working on any other bronzers, so I thought this would be one easy one to reach for. And last month I had used this 25 times, and this is what it looks like now. So I can definitely see some wear on this. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but it is dipping quite a lot right in this area. I have used it 24 more times in the past month, including today. So I'm currently on 49 uses and I have 1 use left to go. I know this might be cheating, but I am going to roll this out today, and I'm going to use it 1 additional time tomorrow, so I have hit my 50 uses, but I just don't want to keep this in for a full month just for 1 use, if that makes sense, and I rather roll something else in and use this tomorrow. I'm actually filming this on the days going up, so I can't really wait with this update either. But yeah, I just don't want to keep this in another month just for 1 use. So I'm going to use this tomorrow, and I'm going to go ahead and roll this one out. So 2 more products to go, and the next one is annoying as well because this is my e.l.f. concealer. And last month, if you recall, I said that this is definitely going to be done by next month. And in the first month I used this 36 times, and in this past month I've used it an additional 28 times. And I'm actually wearing this today because it's not quite done. If you look inside of it, you can see it looks basically done. I've taken out the stopper, like I've scraped the sides, and I think there might be maybe like 2 more uses in here left. So I'm torn on whether to roll this out. I think a lot of people would call this done at this point because it's like literally, like you can see there's not even anything left at the bottom because it's all scraped on the sides. So I think I'm gonna call this done because if I didn't take out the stopper, this one would have been done, but I like getting everything out of a concealer, so I'm gonna use this until it is completely like empty, or as much as I can at least. But for the purpose of this project, I'm going to call this done because, like I said, it would have been done if I didn't take out the stopper. So that is the next product, but I'm surprised how long this lasted because I was definitely thinking this would be done like halfway through the month, but it's still kicking around at the end of the month. But I am still gonna roll it out. And then the very final product I have is my Chanel powder. This is the Powder Universal Compact in the shade Translucent 3. This one I rolled in using it 50 times as well. It is a bit too deep for me. It's more of a summer powder. I got this from my boyfriend, and like I said, I use this mainly in summer because that's when it fits me. So I was a bit conscious about how to use this, but I've actually really enjoyed it. And the way I've been using this is kind of blending my blush and bronzer together and like getting some dimension in this area, setting that area of my face before I put my blush on and my bronzer, just to give a bit more dimension. And in the past month I used it 26 times, and I'm happy to report that I did use this an additional 24 times in the past month. You can see a little bit of a dip in the powder now, and I'm really happy that I got use out of it. And I did use it by 50 times, so this one will be rolling out as well. So I did hit my goal of 5 items, which is very, very exciting. And then since I'm also rolling out those 2 eyeshadows that I mentioned, I will be rolling in 7 new items. And basically everything is available to be rolled in, but as you know, one of my rules is that I don't want to work on more than 3 items from each product category. So if I roll 1 more blush, that will be enough, and same if I roll, for example, like 3 eyeshadows or like 2 more highlighters or something like that, that's also going to be enough. But currently I only have my 2 blushes that are left, the NARS Orgasm blush and then the Dior Rosy Glow blush, and then lastly the Laura Mercier highlighter. So those are the only 3 items that are staying in. So I'm going to pull out my spreadsheet and I will roll in my new items. So I have 1 to 950, and that is without my lip products because I have a different product with all my lip products in, so I'm not including them in my whole collection product pan this year. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and roll some numbers, and the first one is going to be number 426. Okay, so 426 is an eyeshadow from my BH Cosmetic Blueberry Muffin palette, and that is the shade Tempting, and that's definitely fine. I know what shade that is. I already have pan on it, but 15 uses is still fine. So that is going to be the first item that I'm rolling in, and my first eyeshadow. The second one is going to be number 919, which should be, don't know, some sort of base product, I believe. So let's see what that is. Okay, so it is a highlighter actually. It is the Iridescent Strobe Light from my Hourglass Ghost palette. So that's going to be the second item. That's fine. I can have 1 more highlighter now, and then that category is full. But let's pick the third number, which is going to be number 16, which should be from my palette because that is my Modern Renaissance, and that's first in my spreadsheet. Actually no, because that's only 14 shades. So that's from my Soft Glam palette, and it is the shade Glistening. And I think that should be fine because I think that's a shimmery shade, and I don't really have many shimmery shades like that in my palette. So I think that should be fine to roll in, unless it's too similar to Primavera, but I don't think it is. So that's going to be the third item and my second eyeshadow. Then the next product is going to be number 211, which will be my last eyeshadow. So let's see what that is. Okay, that's exciting because that is from my Colourpop Flustered By palette, which is one that I got from my friend Martina, but I have not yet used, and it is the last shade in the palette, which is the shade Floats On. So that is going to be my last eyeshadow that I have in this product because, like I said, I don't want more than 3, and we now have 3 eyeshadows. So I'm going to go ahead and update my randomization to not include my eyeshadows anymore. So I'm now updating my spreadsheet to only have non-eyeshadows in. So we're starting at 849 to 950, and we're going to go ahead and randomize, which is going to be 864. Okay, so this is actually an eyeshadow, but it is one that I use as a brow powder. So that is fine because I don't count it as my eyeshadow collection, it counts it as a brow powder. And that is the MAC eyeshadow in Omega, which is one that I use for my brows. So that is going to be the next product, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and pick the next one, which I think is going to be my, is this going to be my 6th item? I believe so. 886. And 886 is another blush, so no more blushes, and this is my Becca blush in Camellia, which, yeah, should be fine to work on. It's a spring color, so that should be fine. So if I do roll another blush now, I will have to re-roll because I can't really exclude them because I have things in between. So let's go ahead and pick, I will leave the last number, and that is going to be 859, but yeah, that's fine because it's not a blush. So 859 is, oh, it's my tattoo liner from KVD, so that is going to be a liquid liner. And I do believe that's my 7 items. I'm just going to count them up, and if I have forgotten something I will come back and reroll, but I think that's 7. So let me go and get those and I will be right back. So I'm back and I have all my items, but I will actually have to reroll an item because I looked at the shade from the Photo by palette, and it is very kind of dark deep brown, and I swatched it out next to Cypress Umber from my Panda palette, and you can see that they are basically identical. The shade from the Flutter by Float On has a little bit of a glitter running through it, but I know that on the eyes that will disappear, and these two are way too similar. So I'm going to go ahead and re-roll, and I changed my numbers again between 1 and 950 so I can roll in another eyeshadows, because with that one excluded, yeah, we can literally roll in any eyeshadows as well. So we're going to go ahead and roll another number, and hopefully this will be fine. And that is 223, which is another eyeshadow, so let me see what that is. So I'm rolling a shade that is actually currently in one of my projects. This is my project Level Up palette, which is the Magic Mini palette by Juvia's Place. And I don't want to double dip, so I'm going to go ahead and roll again. And let's see what that is. That is going to be 16. Didn't I already roll 16? I did roll 16, but I cleared my history when I thought I was done. So let's go ahead and re-roll, because that is glistening again. That's very, very odd that I rolled that again. But the next one is going to be 671, which is also an eyeshadow, but I think that should be one of my singles. Okay, so that is exciting. This is a Cleona eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Majesty, which is an orangey shade, so that's definitely fine. And that's going to be my last eyeshadow and last item in this project, so let me go and get that finally, and then we can go through the items that I rolled in. So I'm back and I have my final item, and this one is fine. I'm actually going to start with it because I have it right here in my hands already. I haven't taken it out of the palette, but it's one of my Cleona eyeshadows, and it's the shade Majesty, which is this beautiful orangey shade right here. It is one of those shifty shades. It has like a yellow and then a green shift, and it's absolutely stunning. But again, my goal with this will be to use it 15 times. And there you have Majesty swatched out on my hand. Let's stick with eyeshadows. The next one is from my Blueberry Muffin palette, and that is the shade Tempting, which is this shade right here. This was my Duty Pound My Fellowship palette last year, and that's why I have so many pounds, but this is the shade right here. And since I already have pound on it, I'm going to use this one 15 times. And there you have Tempting swatched out. The very final eyeshadow comes from my Soft Glam palette, and it is the shade Glistening, which is one that I don't have too much use on. It is actually quite similar to Primavera in my Panda palette, but I'm not currently using that that much, so I thought it's fine to roll in. And it's still a little bit different. This is a bit deeper, and I don't think it's going to interfere with me finishing up Primavera, because I think that's going to be quite an easy one to finish anyway, so I might as well just get some use out of this one. But yeah, it's like a gold kind of shimmery shade. Let me swatch it out for you. And there you have Glisten swatched out. It looks very lackluster, especially next to these two, but I think it's going to be an easy one to incorporate. So that is going to be my last shade. And again, with this one, it's going to be 15 uses or pan. So the next product that I'm rolling in is my Becca blush in the shade Camellia. This one is a really bright kind of pink shade and looks like this. It's going to be nice to work on now in spring, but again, since I'm working on so many blushes, I'm going to put in a usage goal of 20 on this, because I don't want to overwhelm myself. So that's going to be the next item. And I did go ahead and swatch out the other blushes I'm working on. So we have the Dior blush right here, the NARS blush right here, and this is the new one that I'm rolling in the shade Camellia. So the next thing that I'm rolling in is my Hourglass palette, and the shade that I'm rolling in this is the Strobe powder in the shade Iridescent Strobe Light, which is the highlighter in the palette, and it is with this one right here. So with this one, I am going to put in a usage goal of 30 on this, because I'm working on so many highlighters, but I think that 30 is still feasible, and I still want to get use out of it, because this is a really nice expensive palette and I barely ever reach for it, so I think it's going to be a good reason to have this in. But I did go ahead and swatch out the highlighters. They are very similar, but this one is the La Mercier highlighter, and this one is the new one I'm rolling in. But that is the two highlighters that I have in this project now, and yeah, like I said, they are very, very similar. The new one is a little bit more kind of pink tone though, and maybe slightly deeper, but very similar. The last two items that I'm rolling in are two that I'm not going to swatch out because they're quite boring, but one of them is my MAC eyeshadow in the shade Omega, which I use as a brow powder. And I haven't been using this much because I'm using one shade in my Panda palette as my brow powder, but it could be nice to use this again. You can see I already have massive pan on it. If I didn't have a brow shade in my Panda palette, I would probably try to finish this, but because I am working on that one as well, I'm just going to put in a usage goal of 30 on this so I can really get some use out of it. And yeah, that is going to be my Omega eyeshadow. Then the last one I have is my liquid eyeliner from KVD. This one is getting quite old, so do I want to be bold enough to put in and use it up? I shouldn't I? Because this is, like I said, very old, and I do have another liquid liner now, which is a backup that I got as a freebie with my Huda Beauty, or with my Cult Beauty box, and that is the Huda Beauty liquid liner. So I should probably just use this up, and I never really use liquid eyeliners. So I'm either going to finish this or I'm going to get to a point where I feel like this is way too old and then declutter it. But yeah, these are going to be the next 2 items, and like I said, this one I want to finish and this one I'm going to use 30 times. So those are my items, and this is my new color story for the month of March. Yeah, I'm very excited to work on these items, and it's nice to have a bit of a refresh in this project. I think these eyeshadows are going to be really easy to incorporate. I'm happy to now have 3 shimmers because my palette is very matte heavy, so it's definitely a better fit for me. And then the blushes, they're not the same, but they are very, very similar, and this one is actually quite similar to the Bloom blush I just rolled out, but just a slightly bit more pink. So it's a bit frustrating, but I'm lowering my usage goal on the new blush to 20, so hopefully that should be fine, and I don't mind having the blushes in for a few months in this project. And then obviously the highlighters are very, very similar, but highlighters I use every single day, and I can easily rotate through these because these 2 plus the one in my yellow product panel are the only ones I'm using, so that's only 3 highlighters, so it's not too bad. But that is it for today. I really hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.